Then ride with me in my foul life.
Podcast World with Shake and Chad Belling back at you. Another episode of the Foul Life Podcast. Appreciate all of the subscriptions, the downloads, the ratings, the reviews. Please continue to support the partners and sponsors that support us here at the Foul Life, our TV shows, our social media platforms, and our national podcasts. Don't forget to check out and subscribe to our brand new podcast series, Where the Pavement Ends, hosted by both of my brothers, Clay and Clint Belding, as well as our good friend, Alex Crosby. They talk about big game, turkey hunting, predator hunting, all things mountain trapping, predator control, predator management, you name it, it will be touched on there. A lot of great guests coming up on Where the Pavement Ends. Today's episode of the Foul Life Podcast is brought to you by our friends at Gerber Gear. Stay sharp, America. You know how we feel about our blades, our saws, our hatchets, our axes, whether we're building a duck blind or taking breast meat off of a mallard duck, or getting ready to work on a motor and we need to cut a little bit of rope to tie ourselves off. Like that just happened to me in the state of California. I had to cut some rope and tie ourselves off to a tree so I could work on a boat motor that was giving me issues. And it was a freaking circus, but Gerber was there to save the day. So please support Gerber Gear. Check them out at gerbergear.com. Today's episode of the podcast is also brought to you by our friends at Decked USA, DECKED, for all of your organizational and drawer needs for your pickup truck, the bed of your truck. We use them for everything, to haul our guns, our ammo, our first aid kits, our dog training bumpers and collars. Everything that you can possibly think of, you can put in these drawers and stay organized. Organization is truly one of the most key elements in success. It is an organization breeds success, and Decked has helped us stay organized. When I know where my toilet paper is, when I know where my extra dog food is, where I know where my extra dry socks are, I know exactly what part of my deck system they are in. So check them out for all of your needs and any pickup that you drive, and they got a lot of new products coming out. We're going to touch on some of those today. Today's guest is Bergen Palmer. It's Bergen. I always mess it up, but he works for Decked USA. Bergen Palmer, he works for Decked USA, and he's also very passionate about duck and goose hunting, and I don't know when he got into it exactly, but we're going to touch on all that. Bergen, how are you, my brother?
I am doing well, thanks. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Are you in Idaho?
Yeah, up in Ketchum, Idaho. So Decked is based out of Ketchum, Idaho. It's actually where I grew up, so ended up being able to move back from Utah and pick up a job here. And it's in an industry that's really fun. So we get to work with folks like yourself and in the hunting world, construction world, fishing, you name it. So the Decked product has lent itself to many people. But for us individually, it's really fun to be able to take advantage of these relationships and learn more. You know, for me, being able to have these types of conversations, and fairly new at waterfowl hunting. But when we originally talked, I claimed to be a new hunter. And then I look back and I'm like, oh, wow, I've actually been hunting for like 6 or 7 years now. So not as new as I thought I was, but I feel like I'm new every time I go out.
So you're up around Ketchum. Have you been seeing any mallards or Canadas moving in yet?
A little bit. So most of the waterfowl hunting is down south of Ketchum because we're tucked up in the mountains. So you'll see groups of geese flying around all the time, but they're just usually popping from golf course to golf course. And then if you go south of here, south of Bellevue is another town nearby. It's a ton of farmland. And this is actually going to be my first year hunting down here. So it's kind of starting the clock over again and learning new things. Pretty much all of my hunting experience has been based out of Utah, which is all kind of swamplands out surrounding the Great Salt Lake. And now it's going to be kind of shifting towards some more fields, rivers, things like that up in Idaho. So kind of starting fresh for me.
So in Utah, were you an airboat guy? Is that how you access most of your hunts across the Salt Lake area? Or were you a walk-in guy?
Definitely no airboat. I wish those guys would blow by me, and I feel like that looks nice. We would pretty much walk in just about anywhere. We'd end up biking like a mile and then hiking a couple miles somewhere. So when we started, I was just following my buddies that would, help me scout early season, show me kind of what to do, and everything that we did was on foot. And then we realized we could bike some of the dikes to get further a little quicker, anything and everything, just depending on where we're going.
Yeah, the backdrop of the Great Salt Lake is awesome. The mountains, just a really cool environment that's a lot of people probably don't consider it a waterfowl destination, but the Salt Lake City and a bunch of the surrounding areas, and then you're really close right there, to the Utah border. When you cut over, is that 84 that you get on 82 in Utah or in Idaho right there?
Yeah, I think 84. Yeah.
Yeah, and that goes south to Twin and then into Hagerman and then wraps around into Boise and Parma and that entire Snake River corridor. It's some of the most special mallard hunting, Canada goose hunting in all of America, let alone the West United States.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited about. Is it's got a history here for sure, and even closer by, like somewhere like Silver Creek is, looking at, if you've ever been to Sun Valley Lodge or anywhere in the resort area, there's always photos of Hemingway holding up a bunch of big mallards, and it's definitely not going to be flocks coming in on your decoys, but I think the experience around here is going to be pretty unique.
Yeah, I think you're going to love Idaho. I've hunted Idaho a lot. Outfitting was always illegal for waterfowl in the state of Idaho until like 2 years ago. And now there are some outfitters that have popped up. But if you understand that Snake River and you can run a boat and get on them, a jet boat, not really an airboat, but if you have a jet boat or even a mud motor, you can putt around and get to places. There is some with all of the corn growth in the area, and they eat up on the high plateaus, and then they bomb the Snake River. That canyon, it's a sight to see, a spectacle, pretty much.
Yeah, that's hopefully we'll be finding some buddies out here that have access to either private property or a boat, and that's going to be key, I think. In Utah, we ended up buying a boat, splitting it with my buddies after about a year and a half of biking and hiking. And that experience in itself is just fun, to get out and take the boat and get the dogs, load everything up and get to where you need to go, and then even hike from there sometimes. But I've also had kind of the best of both worlds. My father-in-law recently just got married, and father-in-law is part of a duck club up there. So either the opener or Thanksgiving, we'd get out on some private property and on their boat. That's, worlds away from what we would do on the public land out there. And kind of seeing both sides of that was probably what got me even more excited. Was if you can find that pristine open water and not compete with 400 other people, which in itself is pretty fun too. But just kind of seeing both aspects of hunting and the challenge that both sides see.
So when you're talking about your experience in waterfowl hunting, is it something to where you've always worked a 9-to-5 kind of job? You get off on Friday and you get in the truck with some binoculars and you go scout, or you got some boots on the ground with some buddies getting you scouting reports for the Saturday hunt? Have you been mainly a weekend warrior? Have you taken longer trips and left the state of Utah before you moved to Idaho? Did you go to Canada ever? What part has scouting played into it, and that feeling and that anticipation of like, man, the work week's over, it's time for a cooler or cold beer around duck camp and getting out on the dirt roads and finding some birds?
Yeah. I mean, scouting, I think that the guy that got me into it, one of my good buddies who'd done it growing up. And for me, I just never did it growing up. My parents never hunted. We had a shotgun, so we'd always go, shoot clay pigeons or whatever. But at that point I was like, all right, I'm interested, tag along with this guy. And thankfully he was smart enough to know the value of scouting. We've done it before, and I'm sure everybody has, where you show up without having time to get out and scout an area, and you end up burning a day or two trying to figure it out. But that's exactly it. We'd be in school and working a job, and whether it's early mornings before class or after work, find time to get out and bring the binos, go hike around the marsh for a bit, see where you're picking up birds, find little coveys in little areas, little coves. And I think that was the cool part, was just being able to explore without the pressure of hunting. You get to go out and just walk around, get up onto the dikes and look around for birds. And all of a sudden you're like, okay, there's thousands of geese flying around over there. Let's get that direction. And then, once you have that pay off, especially on opener and somewhere near Salt Lake, like, you're competing with people everywhere. And that was an eye-opening experience for me. Was like, if you don't know where you're going exactly to the point and you're competing for it at sunrise, you're going to end up having a tough day. So like you said, organization is key in all aspects, whether it's where your gear is or where you end up going. That was a big thing for me, and still is just making sure that scouting is something that you first and foremost, you find where you're going to go. And I'm sure that plays along in any other type of hunting situation, is there's always this shot in the dark. You might be able to find something and get lucky, but it's better to make your own luck and know exactly what you're going to get out of it than coming up empty-handed.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where preparation, organization truly are the keys to success. And waterfowl hunting is one of those deals to where people want consistent success, but sometimes aren't, keen on what it takes. And besides the commitment to your rig and your arsenal and keeping that up to date and maintenance on that, and whether it's decoys or your dog or your UTVs or your boats or your truck or your calls, you have to have the mindset of constant growth. Waterfowl hunting is different than deer hunting. It's different than turkey hunting. I'm not saying that you don't hone your skills in the turkey woods. Every year you become a better caller. You can put the birds to bed. You get them on the roost. Deer hunting, you might go from just being a deer hunter to growing a food plot, or you might go from a ground blind to a tree stand. You might go from a rifle or a muzzleloader to archery. There's all kinds of different challenges in all aspects, and even mountain big game hunting, the Grand Slam of wild sheep or a mountain goat or a mule deer out west, being one of the top trophies in the country. Waterfowl hunting, though, is ever changing daily. So turkey hunting, you might go in the woods and you might cut one and he's going to come off the roost, and you put him to bed the night before and he drops down and he's chasing some hens. You might get him to come in. If he doesn't, 10 o'clock rolls around, you get up and move into a little bit heavier wooded area while they're getting off the first hen and they're going to take a nap, eat some bugs and grass. They hear you again and then boom, they're like, oh, I can get another one today. But it's like, that's kind of how it is daily. And I understand that there's going to be different elements, like a coyote might run around and scare the turkeys and make it a little bit more difficult. Deer hunting, it's kind of the same. You play the rut, you play the weather, you watch the patterns, you watch your scent, you get up in the tree stand, you're on your iPhone until you hear a branch break, and then you get ready for the shot unless it's a doe or a coyote coming in. And I love all aspects of hunting, but waterfowl hunting, you talk about having to be on your A game daily, from identifying the birds, understanding wing beats and patterns and how they fly, and when do I call the shot, and how do I get them to finish, and where's the kill hole, and what's this decoy spread mean, and how do I use a spinning wing decoy, and what's a jerk string, and where do I hide my dog, and how do I train my dog, and then on top of all that, I got to be a better shotgunner. Now I got to learn the vocalizations and learn how to call, and now I got to learn how to handle my dog as far as like when the ducks go down. Is there a cripple? Is there a diver? Are they not working? What is a cloudy day and a sunshiny day and a cold day and a warm day and a no wind day and a high wind day and a mid wind day? And you start thinking about all that, and then you have the whole spectacle of duck camp and organization and entertainment and cooking the birds and the bounty and processing and butchering. And I honestly feel that there are so many pieces of this puzzle, moving parts, balls in the air. That's why becoming a waterfowl hunter is the hardest one to do to attain consistent success. Now, being a consistent, successful deer hunter and all that, it's awesome and it's very hard to do. But there's less and less people in waterfowl hunting because of the difficulty. The investment in the gear is heavy. And then you have all the laws and regulations that go into it. Can you tell a hen mallard from a hen sprig from a hen widgeon, and a young duck to an old duck, a diver to how many canvasbacks can you kill? How many scaup can you kill? How many hen mallards can you kill? There's so much to learn. Okay. So I'm off on a tangent, but man, waterfowl hunting is the freaking cream of the crop when it comes to being an outdoorsman. I don't care. You can tell me Alaska and hunting a Dall sheep is difficult. 100%. Get a backpack on and train your ass off on a treadmill and hiking and getting in shape, and then becoming honed in with your rifle skills and your ballistics and playing the wind and everything. It's still not as difficult as being a consistently successful duck and goose hunter.
Man, and I'll tell you that kind of rundown is perfect, because when I think of like coming in as a new hunter and kind of the barriers to entry that you see as a new hunter, that level of complexity, you don't even scratch the surface the first couple times you go out. You're thinking, okay, I got waders, I got a gun, I got a buddy with decoys. Now what? You don't really worry about that until you really get into it. But I think that's kind of the beauty of it, is like, as a starting hunter, yeah, of course, all that's going to make you successful once you get into it. But, you can really dumb it down, tag along, learn about the process, figure out what you like, what you don't like. If you want to hunt water, if you want to hunt dry land, get yourself like, for me, I got my first 6 decoys used that were blow up and terrible. But, just getting that process started. And then all of a sudden I was like, okay, I got to get more calls. I got to get a better blind. Like my first layout blind was a shopping cart that I cut up and stuffed grass into.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's like fly fishing or anything else, where the more you're into it financially, emotionally, everything piles up. But once you start figuring out, like, how do I figure out which birds I can kill? When can I kill them? What are the shooting times? Like simple things that really, as an individual, or like, what shot do I use? What brand of ammo am I buying? Everything that goes into it is pretty daunting as a first time hunter, until you really take the time to kind of learn a little bit more. And then, that's the process that I think really hooked me, was having every bit of that be new every single time you're going out. Whether it's, we went out last week in the Utah opener morning, we limited out with 3 ducks, three limits for duck, and then went back out for geese. And all we saw were big ducks flying around. So we're like, cool, we'll come back tomorrow morning. Birds are here. It's going to be great. Next day we come back, 78 degrees, no wind, no ducks. What's going on? Like, there's just so much that changes within 12 hours, even in the same exact spot. So it's just incredible to see that process change.
Yeah, I agree. And it's ever changing. And it's, you never, like, even like you say, well, I'm going to the Holy Grail, right? I'm going to Saskatchewan or Alberta, Manitoba, Ontario, wherever in Canada. Same thing up there. I mean, you're going to have a chance for more birds, but just what is a ducky day? What is a ducky day in Louisiana compared to California or the Salt Lake? Do you want a high ceiling? Do you want a low ceiling? Do you want cloud cover? Do you want fog? People in California will beg for fog. I can't stand hunting in the fog. I want sunshine. I want a wind. I want cold temperatures. I want consistently cold temperatures. That the barometric pressure of these birds is messing with their ears. It's dropping. They need to eat. They're going to eat in front of a storm. Do you hunt the day before a storm's coming through when it starts to get cold, or do you wait till the snow's on the ground where the birds might come back to that snow field, but then that food source might be covered up? So I like to get in there the day before and hammer them when they're really feeding hard, when they feel that pressure dropping. So the more you do it and you start thinking about all the moving parts that it takes to be a perfectionist, I like to talk about, are you a perfectionist hunter? Don't take the fun out of it. Don't take yourself too serious, but can you consistently finish birds at 8 yards, 15 yards, ethical harvestable shots where you don't have to kill them all at 40 yards left to right passing shots or overhead? If you want to do that, that's fine. But I think that waterfowl hunters have this mindset and ideology of like, how do I get to the point to see them be ducks and be geese? And how do I get their feet down and their wings cupped and their necks stretched out and finishing Canadas in the decoys? Or when you consistently do that, you can look at your hunt mates and your partners, and whether it's men or women, your wife, girlfriend, aunt, uncle, whoever it is, your dad, your brothers, you can look at them and go, man, we did it. We literally built this masterpiece, from the scouting to the gear, to the setup, to the concealment, to the hide, to every bird's retrieved by a top trained Labrador retriever, golden retriever, whatever dog you choose, whatever breed. We get to go back to camp. We get to celebrate. We get to cut these up. We get to pluck them. We get to make a gumbo. We get to make a gravy. We get to do this on a barbecue or Traeger. There's all of that in this lifestyle of being an American waterfowl hunter, a provider, conservationist, gatherer, to where if you really want to attain that, it takes hours and hours and hours of nonstop, literally like becoming obsessed with it. It really, truly does. Now, you will get lucky once in a while. You might book a trip with an outfitter and go to Honey Break or Habitat Flats or Merlot Waterfowl in California. And you might book a 3-day hunt and have one stellar day, one average day, and one shit kicker day. You might not get all 3 days that are unreal. It just doesn't happen very often. If you want to DIY and start to learn how to do it yourself, going with an outfitter is a great way to learn all that stuff. Ask a lot of questions. There's so much content available at our fingertips now. It's a lot easier to get the information than it was even 10, 15, 20 years ago. So really, as a waterfowl hunter, our goal has to be like, I want to become a perfectionist. I want to show people that if you work hard at this, it's like a job and a career. You can put so much into your duck and goose hunting career that you're going to get a lot out of it. Doesn't mean a limit. You don't have to kill a limit to have a successful hunt, and you should learn something out of every hunt. So you being in it for 5 or 6 years, for the next 10 years, it's going to blow your mind with what you see that works. Like, how do you flag Canada geese? When do you flag? A lot of people think that you can do it whenever. But there is a true art form to mixing flagging, your decoy spread, and your short reed or flute calling with Canada geese. So there's all these different challenges. Can you go out and set up a badass Snake River decoy spread and pinpoint mallards, get on a sandbar, get in the low water, get where fresh water, wherever it is, the shallows? What are they eating? Are they grasses? Are they invertebrates? Are they eating small trout? What are they eating in that river? How do I get on mallards consistently on a river system? The Snake River, the Columbia River, the Missouri River, the Mississippi River. There's so much. Just think about all of the different applications you get to hunt as a waterfowl hunter. And then you're like, oh my gosh, it's way different when I have a current as it is in the marsh. And now I'm in dry field. My buddies were in Oregon last week on the opener. They smacked 2 days in a row. They smacked 7-man limits of mallards in dry grain in September. Unheard of. But because they scouted and they kept their options open, they found a grind and they said it was like Canada. You don't see that in September in America, right? So cool. I don't know. I just think that as you get into it, it's like, man, what challenge is next? It's never the same. Totally. It's just never the same.
Yeah. What about like looking at getting kids into hunting? That type of a first-time hunter is so different than somebody like myself getting into it in their 20s. And, I feel like as a kid, it's just like, have the fun, get them interested in the process. Whereas an older kid, what from your perspective is what you would look for and try to show people that you're taking out for the first time? Like you said, there's everything goes into it and you have to be a perfectionist. But if you're not, if you're the one that's out there just trying to start, get a little bit of success and learn each time, what are those things that make a successful hunt early on? And how do you kind of focus on those as somebody just starting out?
Yeah, kids and adults, I like to do the camp. I mean, you can meet in the morning and say, come out with me, and then they miss the scouting. They miss the camp life. They miss the fire. They miss the kennel. They miss the breakfast, the coffee pots. There's a lot to be said about the camaraderie and the socialization that goes on at the camp. That's where a lot of cool stories are told. They see a lot of cool pictures on the lodge walls or wherever you're staying. Might be in a hotel in an area that's famous and rich in tradition of waterfowl, where there's the come on in, duck in, or the Mallard View Estates or whatever. And like, if you can start building that culture, and then it's all about success, breeding success into them. Confidence is key, I think, early on in your career, where you don't want to take them on a frigid below 0 day in crappy gear to where they're freezing, their hands are freezing. There's no heater in the blind. There's no snacks. There's no food. There's no birds around. The dog's bored as hell because he's not getting any retrieves. There's ice forming on the decoys. So all of that's intimidating. So if you find a day where you're going to take a new hunter out, try to breed success into it. Get them in camp. Talk to them. Get them on a duck call. Show them what a duck call can do, or a goose call when the birds are flying. Let them be a part of that hunt to where they're learning and they get some success. They are going to get some shots. They are going to get to see some birds work. They are going to get to see a lab retrieve a mallard or a Canada goose. And then it's all about the technology and the advancements and the evolution of gear. Are you going to cut corners and put them in bad gear to where they're freezing, or they're not dry, or they're not comfortable, or they're like they can't move around? I want to put them in great gear like we build at Bandit, and other companies and other manufacturers are building great gear. We're in the heyday, the golden years, the golden days of duck hunting. You could take a 6-year-old, a 9-year-old. We had 9 kids in the Nevada youth hunt last February, and it was windy and cold. They were all in nice gear, insulated, dry, windproof. You know what I'm saying? It's comfortable, and you can keep them out there longer. You might have to sit there a little bit longer until the ducks start to move. But 20 years ago, 15 years ago, you couldn't do that with a new hunter because the gear was not where it is now. And that's a big part of it. When I'm introducing somebody, I want to talk about the culture, the lifestyle, the history. I don't want to bore them, but I want to show them like, hey man, this place is known for this. We're in Idaho. Yeah. Here's why it's so prolific to be hunting in Idaho. Here's what I've learned in Idaho. I've had unbelievable dry corn hunts, Snake River hunts. I've had great marsh hunts. I pigeon hunt out of Twin Falls, and we decoy pigeons into the cornfields that come off of the rock bluffs of the Snake River. You get them fired up. You get them excited. And then it's all about the education process during the hunt. It's entertaining, but we have to do a good job of like, hey man, challenge yourself. What duck is this coming at us? I'll give you $5. You name this duck. And here's how you do it. Well, nope, that's not a sprig. Here's why that's a widgeon. Here's what you're looking for on their wings. Here's the color of their feet. Here's how the length of their neck. And you try to tell them like, here's their wing beats. Here's what their tips are doing. Here's what their flight feathers are doing. And then it becomes a process of like, man, This is challenging. And it might not be a duck hunt that you get them first out. You might take them on a turkey hunt or a deer hunt. You might take them on a squirrel hunt, something to where they're going to get success, to where they're going to see it. And then you just keep introducing them to the new aspects of it. The boat rides are fun as heck. My daughter loves being on the boat. She loves driving the boat. The blinding, letting them cut the material and like playing hide and go seek and like making it a game of hide and go seek and being safe, and teaching them how to use shears and a hatchet and a knife. And pretty much they're like out there in a survival mode, right? They're building the blind, they're hiding in it. And then when a duck does come in and the gun goes to work and all of your gun safety comes in and preparation on that end, you can make gun safety and gun education, hunter safety and hunter education so fun just by going out and setting up a decoy spread with a trap shooter, a trap and throwing clays for them and calling while you're doing it, having the dog sit beside them, tell them, take them, having the target coming at them or over their head or left to right over the decoys, making it fun, like a game. These kids are so ingrained in games and being online or being on their tablet. I want to get them off of that and create that game for them through hunting. And there's a lot of cool stuff coming in the future. I know my good buddy Remy Warren is working on some really cool stuff that is right up that alley, of education through gaming and through entertainment value. So I think all of that mixed is how you spark somebody's interest in becoming passionate and pretty much obsessed, because all it takes is one group of mallards to do it right. And unless you have a malfunction in your psyche or your brainwave, you're going to be hooked because it's the most powerful thing in the world.
Yeah. And that's what I think that mine was almost the opposite of that. Definitely not early success. I was that guy that I'd tag along with my buddies and I'd be the guy that brings along the curse no matter what. And so I think that's why I liked it so much when I started I was like, damn, this is so hard. Like you would go out and see these other guys come back and have successful hunts. And then I'd get out there and whatever reason, things would go wrong, left, right, and center. I'm like, okay, like this is not as easy as you might think. Like birds don't just fly into your decoys. They don't just show up when you want them to show up and it's hard to shoot them. Like, okay, got to keep coming back, try again, figure it out. Like, and then finally, once you get that success, you're like, all right, keep on moving.
Which was what? Do you remember the first successful one, quote unquote success one?
Yeah. The first, well, I think the first time we went out, I didn't shoot anything. Second time we went out, I was in my my shopping cart layout blind that I had cut up and stuffed grass in. And that my first shot that I ever got was up and over behind my head as it flew right behind us. And definitely not a shot I'd take again. It was lucky and inexperienced, but killed my first duck that way, ran over, found it in the bushes because we didn't have a dog or anything. And I didn't even know what to do. I held up the bird. It was still, partially wounded. And I was like, what do I do? So I wrung the neck and the head popped off. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I like this immediately. And then after that, we just had birds coming into the decoys left and right and kind of figured out like, okay, where's the best, like, how do you shoot these things? If they're down and moving, how do you get them quickly? How do you make them expire in a reasonable time and not really mess around with any of that? And that, like, for me was the first time I was like, okay, this is fun. Things are working out how we want them to. And even then we were competing with, people all over the place. It was out on some public land. And I just remember geese flying and it was like the whole marsh was just people calling these geese in. And I could not believe, but I don't think they ended up coming into us, but I just was blown away at the fact that, you could be successful and what that felt like.
Yeah. And I think that, then you got to think about, like, are you identifying the birds the right way? Are you on your A game of when they do start presenting these shots? What choke tube are you shooting? What constriction? What ammo? What patterning have you done with your shotgun? Do you know what your BBs are doing once they leave that wad? And are you leading the bird? And what's your pattern doing as you lead and keep the shotgun and the muzzle moving through the shooting zone? Like, what are you doing as a shotgunner as opposed to being on the sporting clay range and one coming over your head and you hit it and you bust the target? Now you're taking the responsibility of aiming that gun at a live animal. Now, you dispatch one, you cripple one, you rip one's head off. This is all learning. Like, there is an art to wringing necks and dispatching cripples. We owe it to these birds to ethically dispatch them as fast as we can. Yes, we are going to kill them and we're going to eat them. Some are going to get crippled in the meantime, and we have to get them dispatched ASAP. So all of these thoughts are going through your head while you're trying to have fun and while you're trying to enjoy this lifestyle. And the only way to enjoy it is to do it right, period. is to practice and become obsessed with it to where your fun is because, man, I'm ready. Tom Brady doesn't have fun if he goes out and gets sacked 30 times. If the lineman is prepared and they got a good game plan back when Belichick, before he was wherever he is now, I don't really watch football, but Tom Brady's, he's all about execution. It takes tons of time and practice and sweat equity, and so is waterfowl hunting. So when people look at it and go, oh, you just hunt the finest places on earth. Really? Well, maybe, but it's still not a gimme no matter where you hunt. No matter where you go in this world, it's never a gimme that you're going to have success. And that's what I love about, conversation about like, what are people doing? And when you start talking about the company you worked for and the key to success, one of them being organizations, what does your gear look like? Are you in an enclosed trailer now? Are you a boat with a cargo net? Are you a deck guy where you open up a camper shell and you pull open your drawers to that kind of sounded weird. You guys do all these marketing campaigns about drawers, but what's in your drawers, Bergen, that's not, in your actual truck? You know what I'm saying? Like what do you have in your deck system for waterfowl season? What do you depend on? Are you calling? Do you have a lanyard? Are you blowing a single reed, a double reed? Are you using a jerk string? What do you have? Goose flags and T flags and extension pulls and mojos and baby mojos and remote controls and chargers, and what's in your deck system?
In mine right now, I mean, like, that's the thing is, especially when you're hunting public land and time if it's the boat launch or the trailhead or whatever, like a couple minutes means you get your spot or you lose your spot sometimes. And I think, for me, I'm always organized. I grew up in a ski racing world where you're traveling with a lot of pairs of skis and boots and goggles and gloves. It's like things that most people just don't really think about, but it's like organization in every aspect of life is key. So for my system right now, I just got a new set of 24 goose decoys, but they're just the shells. So I just drove those back from Utah. Those are still sitting right on top of the deck system. In the drawers, I just kind of have my everyday stuff right now, which is not hunting, but coming out into 2 weeks when it opens up in Idaho, we'll have 2 to 4 shotguns in one of the drawers with a backpack that'll basically be our blind bag. Comes out with everybody's lanyards, all the ammo that we're bringing out there, and anything else that we'd need in the bag, whether it's food or whatever. And then the other side, I end up doing waders, anything that's going to end up being wet when we come back. And, the deck system for us is nice because it's modular. So this weekend I'm going out deer hunting. I've got everything I want for deer hunting keyed up and ready in my garage. I throw it in my drawers and I'm out and ready to go in 10 minutes. Come back, throw it back up on the wall in the garage. Following weekend, we've got ducks coming. So it's just easy to switch between the two options. And for many people, those options aren't necessarily recreational, right? It's contractors, electricians, plumbers, whatever, where they keep one side of their drawer set up with, all the equipment they need for the job site. They've got 200 pounds of storage in each drawer and 2,000 pounds of weight that can go loaded right up on top. So, you can keep your play toys in one side, a couple of shotguns locked up, secure, ready to go whenever, maybe you're in a place like Idaho where we're 10 minutes away from hunting access. Right now, you can go chucker hunting at lunch if you wanted to. Maybe you're on a job site and need to get to all your tools that are stored within each of the boxes in the drawers. So, it varies from time to time, and that's everybody at our office has these drawer systems, and you could go into every single one and they'd all be different and, customized to that person's personality, to their occupation, to their passions, to whatever they're going to be doing. And, it's pretty much geared up and ready to go for just about whatever you need.
Yeah. I think it's a great tool. Like, you look at it and you want to be organized. You want to have, like all of your eggs in a basket per se, and then you're like, oh shit, what do I leave out? Because you can't put everything in there, because then you can't, go through piles of stuff to get to something. You don't want to do that in your organizational process with a decked unit. But as a waterfowl hunter, I take a lot of pride in my blind bag or my backpack. Like, I have a dry land bag, and then I have a timber bag, and then I have a boat bag, and then I have a first aid kit, and then I have waders for this, and then I have uninsulated for this part of California during this part of the season. Then I have hip boots for this, and then I have knee boots for this. And I take a lot of pride in the look on my face. You can see I'm like, man, this is awesome. Like, man, look at this. Like, I get to put that on tomorrow. My bibs, my knee boots. I get to put on this handkerchief to make sure I'm getting blood or sweat off my hands. Sometimes I even wear sweat. You know, during the early season, I'll wear wristbands to keep sweat from my hands and messing with the tone of my call. Like, I'm always trying to think of like little things that I can keep organized that are going to give me that pride, because the more you're prepared, the better you look, the better you feel, the more you get success. It's like, you don't want to go into anything in life unprepared, and opening those deck drawers and being like, all right, my Benelli Super Black Eagle 3s here, my Black Clouds right here. I got different choke tubes here, different high vis sights here. I got all of this, boom, 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 and I can go and grab it. And it just makes it a good experience. And that's what waterfowl hunting needs to be. It's not about seeing a duck die. Yes, we're going to kill them. We love that part, but it's about the experience. And if it's walking through a lodge and seeing a fireplace with all these mounts above it and copies of Wildfowl magazine on the table and old Ducks Unlimited magazines and pictures in a like a walk of fame or a hall of fame of all these pictures that have taken place in that area, or you're getting in the back of your truck and you pull out your drawers of your deck system and you're seeing like, I'm prepared. I've been envisioning this, and visualization. I've been visualizing this. Visualization is another huge key to success in any sport. You're a skier. The night before a ski race, you're envisioning, all right, Alberta Tomba did not get on the mountain and do GS.
There you go.
Yeah, he
Who's
didn't
this
do.
guy coming out of left field with the ski
Oh,
racing knowledge?
I know ski. I live right here in the heart of it, man. But Mini Shred Palmer. Do you remember Sean Palmer, the snowboarder, and like Terry Kidwell, and all the guys on like a Sim Switchblade and all the Burton boards, and like I pay so much attention to extreme sports. But like when I would watch Alberta Tomba race, he did not just get on that hill and be like, oh, it's just another mountain. Visualization was a huge part, not just his fitness routine and what he did to keep his quads and his ass and everything in shape to be that fast, but that dude shredded mountains, and so do all of those Olympic and world-class skiers. But visualizing that mountain is everything. It's gonna cut like this, it's gonna cut like that, the whoop-de-woos here, and all of this stuff, they're visualizing all of the time. They're always 2 or 3 steps ahead. A shortstop in baseball, what am I gonna do if the ball's hit to me? A point guard, who am I gonna pass it to? Am I going down low in the key? Am I going out 3-point perimeter? You're always thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead. As a waterfowl hunter, when I get in my deck system, it allows me to visualize the hunt coming alive. And if people really want to know the secret or the trick to getting their hunt, consistently successful, start to visualize it. And then think of like a blank canvas. I always say this, there's a blank canvas where you're throwing oils at it. Do you have the right oils? Can you paint a masterpiece? Who's the hunt leader? What's your responsibility during the day? Are you concealing the blinds? Are you driving the boat? Are you calling? Are you calling the shot? Are you working the dog? There's great pride to be had in all of that. So if people really want to get down to it, it's organization. It's consistency and organization and preparation. You can't overdo those. And then you can overthink, but being organized and prepared is key. And then visualization. Ted Williams in the Science of Baseball, the Science of Hitting, chapter 4, I believe, is visualization. He was the last hitter to hit 400 in the major leagues. George Brett almost did it, hit 391. But Ted Williams talks about visualization. When you're on the deck, when you're the day before, you're visualizing the fastball, the cutter, the slider, the curveball, the 12-6 rotation, the changeup, in the dirt, outside, outer half, inner half. My point is that visualize that. If these ducks do this, if they come off the roost and they're doing this, what am I going to do? If they do this, what am I going to do? If the weather changes on me, where am I going to move my hide? What's my plan B? And you start visualizing, and then all of a sudden you become a tactician. You might as well be Tom Brady out there calling the plays in the huddle, and you're just like, hey, we're going to get them. Watch this. We're just going to change up a little bit. Oh, they're going to throw us a curveball, and they're going to go into that field that doesn't really have an edge hide. All right, we're hunting mallards today. Watch this. We're going to panel up right in the middle off of this pivot, and we're going to wreck them, right? And all due respect, we're going to wreck them because they threw us a curveball, but we're ready for it because we visualized this and we've already thought about it. If this happens, we're ready. right?
Yeah.
It's like Tom Brady. It's called an audible. You got to run an audible once in a while. But all of those oils being thrown at that blank canvas, can you create your duck and goose masterpiece?
Yeah. And it's incredible how hard it really is. Cause you think about pulling those audibles when you're out there and you're like, something's wrong with the spread. Something's wrong with the wind. We're not lined up right. The sun's in our eyes, whatever it might be. There's always something that you want to change. And sometimes you just got to take a step back and maybe give it a minute. But man, it's like, there is, just the continued theme is be ready for anything because everything can happen. Be prepared and ready because there's so much that goes into it. So it's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, just this last weekend, we're in California on early season Canada goose. And I'm watching these geese the day before and I got there on Thursday, watched them Thursday night, watched them Friday morning, watched them Friday night. When they got out of there Friday night, it was the first time that I went into the field. Opening day Saturday. I had been watching it from a vantage point. I couldn't really tell like what the layout was as far as like how high the cover was because it was rice straw that's already been cut. But when I got into the field, I'm like, dude, we're not panel blind hunting anymore. We're going to hide everybody in ground blinds right here. We're going to do this with the camera crews. This is what the decoy spread's going to do. And I visualized like how we are going to literally line these geese up at 10 yards. I wanted them right on top of the ground blinds, and we got them. But then the curveball comes because it's opening day. They're roosting on a part where there's a public area on the water. Then there's a pass shooting line. So what happens? Boats going into this place, people walking in, pass shooters making noise. Geese are notorious for sitting and resting and being like, don't really feel comfortable right now. So are mallards, especially when it gets cold. So we're like, all right, we saw some geese, but we didn't see nearly all the geese we saw. They could have got off the roost and went out the other way, but we bet on the go line of like, they're going to come in here and eat because they held tight because of all the ruckus. They weren't used to this ruckus. Sure enough, set back up in the afternoon and literally waxed them. Like I'm talking right on top of our ground blinds. They just did it perfect. Sometimes the afternoons are the best. You get a better angle of the sun. You get a little bit more, what's it called? Like they have more of a sense of urgency to get to the field before it gets dark and get a bunch of grain in them, a bunch of rice in them before they sit in that weather, that cold water all night. So I'm like, we just bet on like, we're coming back out. We didn't see all the geese. The limit's 10 geese per man per day in this part of California for the early goose. It's a 5-day season. And dude, I'm telling you, when I say they did it, they did it. Let me show you this picture. I don't know if you can see it I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the Zoom here or not. Zoom, I
was following along on social, man. It was great. I actually picked up a thing or two on cleaning geese, which was nice. Yeah, there you go.
You see our ground blinds?
That's about as good as it gets.
Yeah, they're 7 yards.
That's a new banner for behind your station there.
Yeah, we need that. But we have all these green headgear blinds out here. We have all green headgear full bodies, and we position them in loose family groups, but with one wad because these geese were landing and then all grouping up together, walking in. So we kind of emulated that. And these geese came from this place behind us. So they flew over our hide, which can be dangerous if you don't have confidence in your hide. They would fly over our hide before they'd get to the field. Then we'd work them with the flags and the call, and boom, they were all finishing like that. It was so hot and heavy, like you couldn't keep them out of the decoys. A lot of luck went into it of us guessing right that, hey, maybe they didn't all come off. And even there was one of my camera guys and some of the hunters were very pessimistic of this is going to be a waste of time. It was 98 degrees. 98 in the afternoon, and we smoked them. And here's how cool waterfowl hunting is. We were with a man, Mr. Mike, 79 years old. He's hunted since he was 5. He's going into his 74th or 75th waterfowl season. And a few years ago, he was given 2 years to live. A year ago, he was given 2 years to live. A little over 2 years. Cancer. Something happens. He goes to the doctor a couple weeks ago, and they give him less than 2 months to live. And you talk about life, like how important, how valuable is life? How valuable is hunting to the hunting, to that life and that value of life? And he doesn't, nobody wants to die. We had this guy in our blind that will not be alive at Christmas, they say. And he was jumping up and down and loving life. And then we cried. And then we laughed, and then we cried again. There's a lot of tears because you know what that does to your psyche. And waterfowl hunting was his therapy. So he's in the blind, and he's talking to me with tears rolling down his cheeks, and then he's high-fiving with saying, "I've never seen birds that close." 75 years in waterfowl hunting, he had never seen birds do what they did on that day. So I'm sitting there going, everything in life happens for a reason. I'm saying all of the hard work, all of the cards playing right, the harvest. When did we harvest the rice? It happened a little bit later because of the fires in California. It's a different year all the way around with COVID and the fires and the whole state being on fire. So the harvest was a little bit late. We were like, wonder if the geese are even going to find the field and get in there. Lo and behold, they do, going into like 72 hours before the opener. We invite this man, and California Waterfowl Association helps us put it on. He's one of the biggest donors in California waterfowl history. And when you hear that, like, you're going to be dead in 2 months. Like, I can't even fathom that. It just doesn't make sense. But waterfowl hunting made it all make sense. He was like a kid in a candy store again and forgot about all of that BS and drama that him and his wife and his family are going through because of a shitty disease like cancer. And for a day and a half, the geese and the camp and the food and the cold beer and the camaraderie and the stories and the jabbing and the smack talking let him forget all of that. As serious as freaking death, waterfowl hunting can take it from you and be like, hey, here's life for you, even if it's just for a couple days.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's incredible. That's a cool story to hear.
And it's amazing that, I get worked up thinking about how nice of a man this is and how much he's done for our lifestyle. He was a military man. He was a captain in the fire department. He's a donor, philanthropy. He's worked as a board member for CWA. He's done it all. And he just takes care of people. And it's not those people that should get a disease like that, but it's life. And you just never know when it's your time and when your last hunt is going to be. And now our goal is to get him out. He wants to die in the duck blind. He wants to hunt his specks and ducks as many times as he can from now until. And I said, hey, Mr. Mike, you ain't going anywhere. We're praying. A miracle's going to happen. You're going to be hunting with me in January, February. We're going to go turkey hunting in the spring. Let's just keep our dreams and our hopes alive. And he's hugging me and high-fiving me. And it's just one of those deals where that's what hunting can do to the soul.
It's beautiful really to hear that type of stuff. It's true because you never know what's going to happen. So being able to be a part of that is pretty special. All
because of what? Hunting, ducks, geese, this lifestyle. That's why talking to guys like you that are, how old are you?
28.
28. So you got into waterfowl hunting a little later in life. I got into it when I was 26, 27, where I really got into duck and goose hunting. And now I'm 45 and I'm freaking obsessed with it. Obsessed with it. Are you calling?
Really? You can't tell.
You can't tell?
No.
It's hard to tell in my voice.
Yeah.
Or what I try to do every day.
It's awesome, man. No,
Axel, come here. This is Axel. Come here, Axel. Come here, buddy. Oh, there you go. Say hi. Say hi.
Man, that's the other reason that I've been getting way more into this is I got a chocolate lab 2 years ago. She's 2 now. And her, more than anything, getting out and just watching her work is more rewarding than any duck ever. Like, it's incredible. And just the process, I just basically watched YouTube videos, bought a bunch of DVDs and tried my best. And she's a good dog, by no means award-winning duck dog, but she does phenomenal. And it's just so rewarding to watch it happen.
Oh, it's the best. It is. And even him, he's a master hunter retriever champion, qualified all ages. And this was his first hunt of the season. He's been on some with me, but I just got him back full time. He'll go back to SRS in March, but Brad Arrington just brought him to me. And when those guns started going off and he just went crazy. He's just like as qualified as they get, but you have to be prepared. You have to make sure that even your dog knows what's getting ready to happen. And it's the that's another responsibility that lies on the duck hunter and the dog handler. It's like having a rewarding dog, and a dog as high powered as Axel is and some of our other dogs. There's nothing that can replace it. There's no excuse for mistakes or injury or, not having them safe all the time. There's no excuse for them breaking. There's no excuse for anything when it comes to a dog, because you're talking about a conservation tool that's retrieving birds and dinner, and you're talking about a live animal that's part of your family that is in harm's way at all times if you're not careful with loaded guns and people shooting all over the place.
they're in harm's way, and you can be too. I had my father-in-law was a part of an accident last year. They're in a big pit blind and just recently got a dog back from a trainer, all ready to go, spent a bunch of money going, and it was his buddy's dog. They stood up, I think, when they were just waiting for birds, or they even stood up just to stretch for a second. The dog got all anxious and excited, jumped up, like pushed the safety and trigger at the same time while they're leaning up on top of this pit blind, shot a hole right through his forearm. And it's like the best of the best can be, anybody can get hurt, even if it's the safest person out there with the best trained dog. It's just, things happen all the time. So that, for me, that was an eye opener just to realize, like, okay, this is the guy that's been teaching me gun safety for a long time, who's been teaching me how to handle dogs and helping me with everything. And, it doesn't matter who it is, where it is, when it happens to anybody. So, the tool that a dog can be is wonderful. And then the danger that they can be to themselves or to humans, you just got to know what you're getting into. And exactly right, is have them prepared and understand what they're actually expected to do, when they can do it, and how to do it right. So that was a crazy experience, but thankfully my dog is a little bit more mellow. We got to actually rile her up to get her all fired up sometimes, but they're all different.
Yeah, there's got to be a switch. They got to be mellow and have a great disposition and personality at home, and be very well mannered and not rude. And then when you hit that switch and that collar goes on, it's freaking go time. And it's a joy to see.
But focus.
When you start getting a dog on a 400-yard blind with just whistle stops and hand signals, and that nose is going to do the rest, there's no better feeling than, you're going to have a cripple, you're going to have a goose that's going to soar out, and it's our responsibility to go get them and make a valiant effort, an honest effort to retrieve that bird, so you're not on the wanton waste. And having a dog like Axel, you see it, you're just like, man, you just instantly fall in love. You gravitate towards talent, and you're just like, damn it, man, you freaking got it going on. He really does. You all right, buddy? What are you doing? Axel. He's just chilling. So so let's say you have a great opening day, or no, you just killed some limits in Utah. What's your recipe? Are you one of those guys that's going to say duck poppers, or do you have some out of the box recipes? What do you like to do?
I like duck poppers. That's the other part that I've liked, because I never cooked anything. I mean, I would cook like your standard stuff, but I never really got creative. And so that was fun about duck and geese, is to try to start getting creative. And when I first started hunting, I would do the classic over salt, over brine, over cook, and it just sucked. And then just started piecing things together. Right now, we had some duck tacos the other night, do some curries, which are really good. Last year I think the best duck I had all last year, we shot, brought back to the tailgate, cooked it up on a little camp stove, diced it up into just little chunks, a little bit of butter, a little bit of salt, just perfect. Like, usually I'll do, if I'm trying to appease to the masses, if we're cooking for a bunch of people, part of what I like to offer is dice it up, put it in a pan of some sort with a little butter and salt, put that in the Traeger. And so that's kind of smoking and cooking at the same time. But yeah, I mean, I'll eat any and everything. We do a stuffed goose, where you fillet out the goose breast, pound them down a bit, fill it with some Thanksgiving stuffing, just stovetop stuffing, roll it up and start slicing into slices. That's like the perfect little appetizer. I don't know. I need some more. Any suggestions? I'm sure you've got.
Oh yeah. I mean,
novels.
My favorite Canada goose is slow cooking it in a Traeger, 225, 240 degrees in a foil tin with foil on top, with dry rubs and maybe some onions and apple cider, real apple cider, and just letting it slow cook in there, 4 or 5 hours, kind of like a crock pot or like an oven bag, and you can make unbelievable pulled pork sandwiches with it on onion buns and cheese and pickles. You have to have pickles on it. But that's one of my favorite Canada goose, because like you said, I could feed 30 people at camp, and all the crews and everybody, with a bunch of, all those goose breasts that you get. There's so many.
Yeah.
Being creative and unorthodox, I make so many stir fries and wild rices and fried rices and pastas, and I've done wontons, and we just stuffed our own raviolis with duck meat, and I learned how to do that. So it's just about being creative and wanting to think outside the box and take the time to become good at it, because duck and goose is a very, like, specklebelly is the best wild game there is. You could go kill a
Haven't
mule
tried
deer.
that yet.
Yeah, if you can kill a mule deer and an elk, I promise you that speckled belly's better than both of them, in my opinion. Elk backstrap is right there, but speckled belly ducks or geese are unbelievable table fare, especially when they're in the rice of California. They're amazing table fare. So yeah, man, it's just about being creative, and we actually have a new cookbook coming out called The Provider that we're working on right now that's going to have a lot of waterfowl recipes in it. So there'll be a lot of how-tos in there, field preparation, how to take care of the meat, how to debone a duck. My buddy Jim Ray is a master at deboning them and then using chef's rope to tie it all back up, and threading through it and sewing it back together and stuffing it like you're saying. It becomes like a Nerf football with all this goodies in the middle of it, So it's like I get fired up about the culinary art of waterfowl hunting too. It just all goes together, man. The lifestyle is untouchable.
Yeah, I mean that brings it full circle is when you bring it all the way back home and share it with everybody.
Does your wife eat it?
For sure.
Yeah, I'll send you one. Your wife eats it, huh?
Oh yeah, she'll eat anything.
Does she hunt them up?
She doesn't. We almost had her out in the blind with us this past weekend, but she's never had much interest in it. She was going to come because she wants to see the dog work. She had an experience growing up where she went with her dad, fell asleep, somehow was asleep in the blind as they shot down 2 geese. Geese came back. He was wringing the neck. And as she woke up, there was just a goose in the pit with them flapping her wings. And so I think that was her scarring moment, but she's over it now. She wants to come out and learn a little bit more and watch the dog work. And she eats them. She loves that. And she'll eat pretty much anything, but that's nice to be able to share that.
Was she a skier too?
No, she grew up, we met out in Utah. She skied, but never competitively or anything like that.
Yeah. You got to meet our Tom in our office. Tom was a NCAA skier. What's it called when you go cross country? What's that kind of skiing called? Nordic. He's a Nordic skier, and his wife was an NCAA champion in Olympic alternate in GS.
Nice.
She can rock. Her name's Christy Rashashine, and she just rips the mountain.
Epic. Yeah, that's awesome.
They ski at Mount Rose and Heavenly and North Star, a bunch of the resorts around here. But they go to Utah, they go to Sun Valley, Idaho, they go to Whistler in Canada. They go all over skiing.
If you're ever coming skiing, Sun Valley, that's the place to be. We got a spot for you.
Not me, buddy. I'll introduce you to Tom, but I'm going to stay right there in the lodge and have a cold beer or a hot chocolate or something.
I'll meet you in there.
I'll watch it all. Well, man, it's been a pleasure. Tell people where they can find Decked.
Check out our company website is www.decked.com, and that's DECKED. We got a handful of new products coming out. We got the drawer systems for pretty much any truck that's out there. And accessories that you can find within the drawers. We got a new D bag, which is the drawer bag, perfect for a duck blind, perfect for a boat bag, whatever you might need it for. And we're always excited about new stuff. So product feedback, questions, whatever you might find, you can find us at Decked USA on Instagram as well.
Are they available for pretty much any pickup truck, SUVs count? What are they available for?
We don't have anything for SUVs at this time, but that's definitely something our product team's looking into. Pretty much any truck back to like the mid 90s for most models, and any truck moving forward. So just about anything that's out there. And then we do have a new product coming out that's going to expand that here in the next couple of months. So a lot to come here from Decked.
Beautiful. Does it have anything to do with like a tent that goes on top of your truck? Are you guys getting into that market?
No, we're not. No, we're going to stick with the organization, security. And I think right now that's kind of our market is being able to help keep guns and toys and tools and everything secure and organized. And then maybe later down the road, I'm sure we'll be looking into stuff like that. The automotive accessory world is incredible. And the truck guys right now, our market is truck guys. So it's fun to be able to be a customer and be on the brand side of things. So there's definitely a lot more to come for sure.
I can't wait to see it. We love our Decked. We appreciate the partnership. I'm glad you're getting addicted to duck and goose hunting. And, pretty much you're going to just get sicker and sicker in the head because of it.
Well, yeah, I mean, hopefully we can find a time to get out there together and do a little learning from you.
Yeah, come on. Come down to one of our camps, and I mean, I don't know if I'm very good at it. We have the power of editing to be able to make it look like I know what I'm doing.
CGI ducks coming in.
CGI ducks and all this audio that makes it sound like I'm blowing a duck call when I really don't know what I'm doing. According to the internet, that's what they say.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So I got to believe everything I hear. Everybody does, coming from those basements. That's Bergen Palmer, Bergen. He is the marketing director, correct?
Marketing manager.
Marketing manager for Decked.
Randolph. Yep.
Craig Randolph, who we're having on the podcast soon. We're going to have Greg on here to talk about all things Decked. Tell us the website one more time, Palmer.
www.decked.com.
DECKED. Great logo, great brand. Keep all of your tools, your guns, your ammo, anything you could pretty much imagine being in the bed of your truck. Keep it safe and secure. And you could even like put a little ramp on there and park a 4-wheeler on the top of these. Are this true?
Oh yeah. Yep. We 2,000 pound payload on top. So you can load up pallet of bricks, ATV, whatever you might want. And it's all weatherproof. So even if you get a deer, a pile of geese up there that you've already cleaned, hose it off, take it to the car wash, rain, snow, mud, whatever, not getting in the drawers. So it's a pretty versatile system. It's built to last. Anything goes wrong, we've got a great warranty, so we'll get you hooked up. And yeah, we love seeing the product out there. We've got a good fan following and people sharing their photos. So always tag us at Decked USA and we'll share your content as well, because it's a big one happy Decked family over here.
Yeah, Idaho based, made in America, yeah?
Made in America, yep.
That's cool. I like your hat. You like
Thanks,
mine?
man. You too.
You like that? Decked hat.
Oh, yeah.
Bergen Palmer,
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Everybody, check them out, decked.com, at Decked USA on Instagram. They got a badass brand, and they are killing it. Did I get that Instagram right?
Yep.
At Decked USA. Good luck. Hey, send me some pictures of your Idaho opener. I'm jealous. I love hunting Idaho. I was just up there 2 weeks ago at one of our places in Hagerman and dropped off some mounts and a bunch of framed prints for a new lodge. I'll have you down there for dinner one night and introduce you to a bunch of people when I'm up there.
Sounds great, man.
I don't know if I'll be able to get you on a hunt. It's everything for me to get on a hunt there. So I got to tiptoe around it, but you can at least come see it and then like maybe meet them. And then maybe they'll be like, hey man, come on out here for a hunt whenever you're in the area. And then you're going to be like, oh, that's funny. I'm in the area tomorrow and the next day. And maybe a few more days after that.
I'll work for the access. If they need me to pick up anything, I'll pick up trash, clean their gear, whatever it takes, man. You got to get your foot in the door.
We'll work for duck hunting, and we will too. That's another episode of the Fowl Life Podcast. Please continue to support the partners and sponsors that support our TV shows, our podcasts, our social media, our live events, our concerts, our farming events. Thank you to Gerber and Decked for presenting today's episode of the Fowl Life Podcast. Bergen Palmer, thank you very much. Any closing words, my man?
No, that's about it, man. Thank you so much for having us.
Heck yeah, that was awesome. Tom, hit that button. This is the rock band. This rock band that sings this song, I met them in Idaho Falls. They're all from Rigby, Idaho Falls area, kind of close up where you're at. And this is 2 a.m. Logic out of Idaho Falls. I wrote this song, and then Todd Thompson, the lead singer, helped me finish it up. This is called My Fowl Life. Tom, hit that button. Thank you all very much for listening to the Fowl Life Podcast.